Good day, everyone. Today we are going to discuss class 9th Science chapter 3 Atoms and Molecules. This is part 1 video in which we will discuss about the laws of chemical combination. Ancient Indian and Greek philosophers have always wondered about the unknown and unseen form of matter. The idea of divisibility of matter was considered long back in India, around 500 BC. An Indian philosopher, Maharishi Kanad, postulated that if we go on dividing matter, the matter is called in Hindi, that is Padarth. Padarth, we shall get smaller and smaller particles. Ultimately, a stage will come when we shall come across the smallest particles beyond which further division will not be possible. He named these particles Parmanu in Hindi. The word Parmanu is in Hindi. तो प्राचीन काल से ही मैटर को लेकर के अलग अलग फिलोसोफर्स वंडर्ड रहे हैं और हमारे भारतीय एक इंडियन फिलोसोफर महर्षि कनाद ने बताया कि जब हम किसी पदार्थ को यानी मैटर को डिवाइड करते जाते हैं तो एक ऐसी स्थिति आती है जब उसको और फर्दर डिवाइड करना पॉसिबल नहीं होता है और वो स्थिति में जो स्मॉलेस्ट पार्टिकल हमें मिलता है वो उस मैटर का परमाणु है. Another Indian philosopher, Pakuda Katyayam, elaborated this doctrine and said that these particles normally exist in a combined form which gives us various forms of matter. Around the same era, ancient Greek philosophers Democritus and Leucippus suggested that if we go on further dividing matter, a stage will come when particles obtained cannot be divided further. Democritus called these indivisible particles atoms, meaning indivisible. Atoms means indivisible, means whatever the Maharishi Kanad told at the same time also the Greek philosopher Democritus and Leucippus also told the same thing, but the name given by the Maharishi Kanad was the Parmanu and he gave the name in Hindi, and here they given the name atoms. Atoms meaning is indivisible, means which cannot be divided further. All this was based on philosophical consideration and not much more experimental work to validate these ideas could be done till the 18th century, because that time so much equipments and so much facilities were not there that they can do so much more experiment, but all these theories were based on their consideration, philosophical consideration. By the end of 18th century, scientists recognized the difference between elements and compounds and naturally became interested in finding out how and why elements combine and what happens when they combine. Anthony L. Lavoisier laid the foundation of chemical sciences by establishing two important laws of chemical combination. So here we will study laws of chemical combination, which is given by Anthony L. Lavoisier. The law of chemical combination is a combination of two laws. One is law of conservation of mass and another one is law of constant proportion. These two laws of chemical combination were established after much experimentations by Lavoisier and Joseph L. Proust. The first law of laws of chemical combination is law of conservation of mass. Now we will study this in detail. To understand law of conservation of mass, we have to perform an activity first. For this activity, we have to take one of the following sets X and Y of chemicals, any one. Suppose we can take copper sulfate 1.25 gram and Y we can take sodium carbonate. If second substitute, if it is not available, we can take barium chloride 1.22 gram and sodium sulfate 1.53 gram. Another third option is lead nitrate 2.07 gram and sodium chloride 1.17 gram. So three options are there. Out of these three options, we can take any one set of the compounds as X and Y. Now here we will prepare separately a 5% solution of any one pair of substances listed under X and Y, each in 10 ml in water. Now take a little amount of solution of Y in a conical flask and some solution of X in the ignition tube. Hang the ignition tube in the flask carefully as shown in the picture. See that the solutions do not get mixed. Put a cork on the flask. Now here we can see this is cork. This is the thread by which we have holded the ignition tube. This is conical flask, and in the conical flask we have taken the solution of Y, and in the ignition tube we had taken the solution of X, small ignition tube, and here we have managed that they both will not mixed. Now weight the flask with its contents carefully. First, before going to mixed, we have to weight the flask and note down the weight of full flask with reacting mixtures. Both of the reacting mixtures are there in the flask and we will weight them. Now tilt and swirl the flask so that the solutions X and Y get mixed. Wait again. After the solutions will be mixed, there will be a chemical reaction between both of the reactants and there will be the formation of a new substance because of the reaction of the two substances X and Y. What happens in the reaction flask? There will be the reaction between the substances and there will be the formation of the new substance. Do you think that a chemical reaction has taken place? Yes, there will be chemical reaction will take place. Why should we put a cork on the mouth of the flask? So that if any gaseous product is formed during the reaction, it will not get out of the flask. That's why we kept the cork on the mouth of the flask. Does the mass of the flask and its contents changed? Now we will weight this and we will found that the mass will not change because we have covered the flask. Then after the reactions, the weight of the products is also equal to the weight of the reactants. Mass will not change, and this type of experiment we can perform by different reactants and we will get the products, but always in the different experimentations scientists found that always the mass of the reactant is equal to the mass of the product. So according to these experiments and their results, they given the law of conservation of mass. The law of conservation of mass states that mass can neither be created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. So we cannot destroy the mass and we cannot create the mass. During the chemical reaction, only the reactants change into the new substance forms the products, but the mass cannot be created and cannot be destroyed. That was the law of conservation of mass. The second law of chemical combination is law of constant proportion. Lavoisier, along with other scientists, noted that many compounds were composed of two or more elements, and each such compound had the same elements in the same proportion, irrespective of where the compound came from or who prepared it. For example, if we are taking the water from different places, from the river or from the pond or from the rainwater, or we will take it from the pure water, all the waters have the same constant proportion of hydrogen and oxygen. Always in the water the proportion of hydrogen and oxygen is always same. In a compound such as water, the ratio of the mass of hydrogen to the mass of oxygen is always 1:8. Whatever the source of water, we can collect the water from different sources, but every time we will found, as we know, the formula of water is H2O. Then the ratio of the mass, here we are saying ratio of mass is always 1:8 for hydrogen and oxygen. Means when there is one ratio masses of hydrogen, then 8 ratio masses of oxygen. Thus, if 9 gram of water is decomposed, 1 gram of hydrogen and 8 gram of oxygen are always obtained. Similarly, in ammonia, ammonia formula is NH3. So here, nitrogen and hydrogen are always present in the ratio 14:3 by mass. Whatever the method or the source from which it is obtained, but always the ratio of the mass of nitrogen and hydrogen will be 14:3. This led to the law of constant proportions, which is also known as the law of definite proportion. This law was stated by Proust as, in a chemical substance, the elements are always present in definite proportion by mass. So, always, any chemical substance, we can take water, we can take ammonia, we can take sugar, we can take sodium chloride, or any substance present on the in the atmosphere, in the earth, they all have a definite proportion by mass. The next problem faced by scientists was to give appropriate explanation of these laws. British chemist John Dalton provided the basic theory about the nature of matter. Dalton picked up the idea of divisibility of matter, which was till then just a philosophy. He took the name atoms as given by the Greeks and said that the smallest particles of matters are atoms. His theory was based on the laws of chemical combination. Dalton's atomic theory provided an explanation for the law of conservation of mass and the law of definite proportions both. So here we should also know about the John Dalton. John Dalton was born in a poor weaver's family in 1766 in England. He began his career as a teacher at the age of 12. 7 years later, he became a school principal in 1793. Dalton left for Manchester to teach mathematics, physics and chemistry in a college. He spent most of his life there teaching and researching. In 1808, he presented his atomic theory, which was a turning point in the study of matter. So here now we will study Dalton's atomic theory. According to Dalton's atomic theory, all matter, whether an element, a compound or a mixture, is composed of small particles called atoms. The postulates of this theory may be stated as follows. First postulate of Dalton's theory was all matters is made of very tiny particles called atoms which participate in chemical reactions. So the chemical reaction, in the chemical reaction, any element or compound or mixture is participating at the smallest level, that is atoms. Second postulate is atoms are indivisible particles which cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction. This law is stated according to the law of conservation of mass. In the conservation of mass also we are saying that mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. Here also Dalton is also supporting to the theory of Greek philosophers that atoms are indivisible and also they cannot be created and cannot be destroyed. The third postulate of Dalton's theory is atoms of a given element are identical in mass and chemical properties. So here we can say atoms of given element, all the elements. Suppose we have an element of iron, then all the elements of all the atoms of iron are same, identical in mass and identical in chemical properties. If we have the copper, all the atoms of copper have the same chemical property and have the same mass. So atoms of a given elements are identical in mass and chemical properties. Next, fourth postulate is atoms of different elements have different masses and chemical properties. For example, if we have two elements, one is gold, another one is silver. So gold elements atoms mass is different from the mass of the silver atoms. Likewise, this gold's chemical properties will be different from the atoms of the silver elements atoms. So like this, different elements have different masses and different chemical properties. Fifth postulate is atoms combined in a ratio of small whole numbers to form compounds. Here this postulate is resembling with the second law of constant proportion or definite proportion, that atoms combine in a ratio of small whole number, because also they said atoms are indivisible. So they combine in the small whole number ratio to form compounds, and that's why their mass have always a definite proportion. They are combining in a definite proportion and always there is a fixed ratio of mass from where we will collect the sample, but always their ratio of mass will be fixed. Sixth postulate is the relative number of and kinds of atoms are constant in a given compound. So that also we studied in the second law, a law of constant proportion. The relative number and kinds of atoms are constant in a given compound. For example, ammonia always have the nitrogen and hydrogen in the ratio 14 and ratio 3 according to mass. Water always have the ratio hydrogen and oxygen always ratio have 1:8 according to the mass. So that was the 6 postulates of Dalton's atomic theory. Now here we can summarize the law of chemical combination. The law of chemical combination we can divide in the two main laws, law of conservation of mass and law of definite proportion. Law of conservation of mass was proposed by the French chemist Antoine Lavoisier in 1774. According to that, they said mass can neither be created nor be destroyed in a chemical reaction, or for any chemical process in a closed system, the mass of the reactants must be equal to the mass of the product. Example, if carbon and oxygen is combining, it will form carbon dioxide. If we had taken 12 gram of carbon and oxygen 32 gram, then the total mass of reactants will be 44 gram, and total mass of product is carbon dioxide, its mass will be also equal to the 44 gram. So we can prove that mass can neither be created nor be destroyed, or we can say mass of the reactant is equal to the mass of the product. Second law is law of definite proportion, that was proposed by Louis Proust in 1799. According to this law, a chemical compound always consists of the same elements combined together in the same ratio, irrespective of the method of preparation or the source from where it is taken. One molecule, here example we can give, one molecule of a compound water always contains same ratio of hydrogen and oxygen by mass. Example, water H2O is hydrogen and oxygen ratio is hydrogen atomic mass is 1 and here 2 hydrogens are there, that's why the total mass will be 2. Ratio oxygen's atomic mass is 16 and only one oxygen is there, that's why we will take here 16. So as we will simplify this 2:16, it will be 1:8, and that's why always the hydrogen and oxygen ratio in the water is 1:8 according to the mass. So that was all about the law of chemical combination and Dalton's atomic theory. So children, I hope this video will be beneficial for you to understand about the content of laws of chemical combinations and Dalton's atomic theory. Share this video with your other classmates and friends, and also subscribe my YouTube channel NCERT Science Mantra. Press the bell icon so that you will get the notification of my new video. Thanks for watching the video.